So I'm still in the process of watching Mazinger Z from 1972. It's been really difficult following up on this series because a lot of the episodes are just not that interesting for me. It's very rare to find a good episode in this series, and that's why today I'm back with another video to talk about episode 52. Episode 52 is titled Koji in a Pinch. Sayaka deploys Mazinger. There are a lot of things to talk about in this one specific episode. Some are good, some are bad, but mostly good. The episode starts out with Shiro playing with a miniature Mazinger Z wearing the jet scrander. The toy robot flies off too far and lands inside of a girl's bathhouse. Shiro looks inside to see where the toy landed and is shocked when he realizes that Sayaka is there taking a bath. Shiro takes out a rod and tries to fish out his toy robot without Sayaka noticing. Instead, the hook catches Sayaka's bathrobe, exposing Sayaka's body. Sayaka yells and Shiro runs for his life before she could see him. She sees the fishing rod and says that it was Koji's rod, so it might have been him trying to sneak a peek at her while she was bathing. She goes to where Koji is at, but before she does, we are shown a brief scene where Koji is reading a comic book about two samurai facing off with each other. We'll get back to that specific detail in just a little bit. Sayaka enters the room and pulls Koji's chair down with his fishing rod. Koji yells at her, asking what the problem is, but Sayaka just throws him towards the other end of the room. Sayaka breaks his fishing rod and both of them proceed to throw things at each other. Koji even slaps Sayaka a few times, something he often does in the series, cause I guess it was normal back then to show stuff like that in a kids show. While all of this is happening, Baron Ashura is listening in on them, but that's not really important. The only important thing to note is that while all of this is happening, she sends out the new mechanical beast to destroy several parts of the city. The two young pilots proceed to break the room around them. The three professors of the Photon Light Institute just look at them and gets upset because their laboratory is getting destroyed because of their childish bickering. Dr. Yumi enters the room and alerts the two of the mechanical beast. Koji and Sayaka stop fighting for now to focus on getting to the enemy. While piloting their respective robots, the two of them recall the things they said to each other back in the institute. They both get to where the enemy is located, and they both continue the fight they started back in the laboratory. While trying to fight the mechanical beast, Mazinger Z gets badly damaged, and Koji tells Sayaka to shoot a missile at the enemy while he distracts it for her. Sayaka instead says no, saying that he said back in the institute that they were total strangers now to each other. Koji then proceeds to fight off the mechanical beast on his own regardless of his disadvantages. Mazinger Z rolls over towards the mechanical beast and succeeds to deal damage to it, sending it into the ocean. But after this, Koji is seen going completely white, blood dripping from his mouth, and Mazinger Z falls down. Turns out that because of his antics, it resulted in him being mortally wounded and is sent into a hospital room. He is seen lying in bed all bandaged up, and the dextrose is placed on his left arm. Everybody is there in the room with him. His little brother Shiro, Dr. Yumi, Sayaka, the professors, and even Boss and his friends. Shiro cries out for his brother, and we even get to see Boss worried so much about Koji's condition. Dr. Yumi tells everyone to leave the room for now, and they all leave. But before Dr. Yumi proceeds to go out himself, he notices that Sayaka hasn't started leaving yet. He gets no response from her, so he leaves the room. The camera zooms in on Sayaka, and she then proceeds to finally break down and cry alone in the room, where nobody is watching. While Mazinger Z is getting fixed, we go back to the hospital room and see that Sayaka is recalling the events that happened earlier in the episode. Specifically the one where Koji tells her to back him up on the fight against the mechanical beast. She recalls the words she said to him in that moment and regrets having done so. The sun sets, and we get to see the silhouette of Sayaka leaning down on the resting Koji. She tells him not to die, and proceeds to lean further down to kiss him on the lips. The mechanical beast is on the move once again, and is headed for the International Center for Disabled Children. Boss and his friends run out, saying that it's time to let Boss Borot shine. Dr. Yumi tells them not to go out there, but Boss just tells him that he can't just sit there and do nothing. He says to Dr. Yumi that if he dies, tell Koji that he was the best friend he's ever had, and the three biker boys run out of the lab. Boss Borot moves out, and Koji suddenly wakes up. Sayaka initially is relieved, but when Koji proceeds to show his usual charismatic arrogance on her, she goes back to being her usual self again. Shiro enters the room and alerts her that Boss Borot is headed towards the mechanical beast. Instead of using Aphrodite A, Sayaka decides to pilot Mazinger Z. Koji hears the sound of Mazinger Z's footsteps and heads out onto Aphrodite A's hangar. While Boss is fighting against the enemy, Sayaka arrives with Mazinger Z. She tries to fight the mechanical beast, but the attack just gets blocked, and she is then hit with a beam of red light. While being sent back, Aphrodite A arrives and Koji launches one of its missiles towards the enemy. He catches Mazinger Z and tells Sayaka to do an aerial circus with him to switch robots. They do this in such a way that reminded me of the scene from Fast and the Furious 6, where Dom jumps from his moving car across two highways to catch Letty from falling. It's such a stupid and impossible scene, but it did the trick and entertained me either way. Anyway, as Koji is back inside of Mazinger Z, he tries thinking of a way that could help him fight against the mechanical beast, and he suddenly recalls the comic strip we saw from earlier. Two samurai facing off with each other, and the other catches the blade with both hands clapped tightly on either side. Mazinger Z catches the blade and takes it completely off of the mechanical beast. He does it again by catching an incoming saw blade and throws it neatly against the other incoming saw blade. Mazinger Z finishes the enemy off with a breast fire and the mechanical beast is destroyed. After defeating the enemy, Koji's helmet falls off, revealing the blood seeping out of the bandages. Sayaka holds Koji and he tells her that he's done for. Sayaka cries, telling him that she loves him and that she wanted to marry him someday, and Boss is there crying as well. Sayaka is then surprised to see that Koji's been acting the whole time, and he even tells her that he'll never marry a tomboy like her. The episode ends with Koji and Sayaka duking it out with each other once again, putting things back to the way they were at the start of the episode. In regards to the scope of the episode, there were a lot of things that we got to see that can be deemed good, like the playful cat and mouse relationship Sayaka and Koji have with each other, their indifference with each other when they get into petty fights like these, and the serious moments that happen when one of them gets into a difficult situation. We get to see Boss reveal that he sees Koji as one of the best friends he's ever had, despite being a total rival towards him throughout the series. And we got to see Sayaka get intimate with Koji by secretly kissing him while he was still in a coma. The reason why this series got me making a video for it is because the things that happen in the episode is what the series could or should potentially be going for in regards to its story progression. But the fact that the episode also ends by not resolving the series' main flaw of being repetitive is what also makes this episode quite a letdown. We never really get to see any character progressions in these kinds of shows. There are a total of 92 episodes in this series, and I'm sure that even as I get to the end of it, I'll barely see any progression at all in the story. It's always just gonna be the same monster of the week story structure and nothing else. Sure, there will be interesting episodes like number 52 or number 38, but I'm also just gonna have to push through with the rest of the generic episodes the series has. I apologize if I seem like I'm complaining. Mazinger Z was a good start for the franchise, but with episodes like these, I just can't help but think that it could have been better. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Hit the bell to get notified for when another video comes out. As always, I'll see you in the next one.